And the people want to get rid of him even faster now. And this is why he's put in the position that he has to poison Imam Rida. And this is why he's put in that position that he has to take the life of Imam Rida, because announcing Imam Rida as his wali'ahd, as his successor, was in actuality putting his own life in danger. People would do anything now to get rid of Ma'mun and let Imam Rida be the ruler. Imam Rida countered the strategy of Ma'mun in such a way, with such insight, with such planning, with such a strategy, that it completely upset his plan and in fact put his own life in danger. One of the things that we see though in all of these movements of Ahl Bayt, in all of them where they want to put the government of Allah on the earth, we see that more often than not, the Imam pays the price for that revolt. Whereas the people escape any punishment or any bad effects of that revolt. And it was the same with Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. That Imam Rida accepted the greatest danger and he paid the greatest price with his shahadat, so that the Shias could enjoy more safety, more security, more respectability, and a higher position in the society, and a more unified position. And all of this was made possible by Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam and his acceptance of this wali'ahd. So the next time that we read this story and the next time that we go through our history, we should pay attention to the little markers and the little words and the little things that are said that can really shed a lot of light on this situation for us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on our souls, to forgive us of our sins, and to guide us to His straight path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on the souls of our departed loved ones, to give shafaat to the ill amongst us, and to hasten the appearance of His final Imam and make us His helpers and supporters upon His return. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْعَظِيمِ. Salawat. So if there's any questions or comments, then please feel free to ask them, inshallah. Yes, sister? You may be confusing. Harun al-Rashid was... Imam Musa Kazim was killed while he was in prison by Harun al-Rashid. However, I don't believe that his body was ever publicly displayed. And you may be confusing the other massacres and massacres of important personalities of the Shias by Harun al-Rashid, who was known to do this type of thing, particularly in his time with many of these Zaydi revolts. Many of these people were hung in public, their bodies left out for years, actually. And this was done, but not to my knowledge by anyone against the Imams. Yes. You see, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. That on one hand, he needs the legitimacy that Imam Rida will bring to his government. On the other hand, he's hoping that Imam Rida will be illegitimized by joining the government. And this is exactly what he was hoping for. You see, he knows that those hardcore followers of Imam Rida, many of whom were involved in the revolts that are going on, that they will listen to the Imam. That if the Imam gets this position, that they will maybe put down their arms, put down their weapons. In fact, we have one incident that when he's publicly in front of the people announced as the Wali Ahad, one of Imam Rida's Shias was there. And he was looking at this like with great happiness and joy and expectation. Like, imagine if Obama announced that, instead of Biden, he's gonna put Ayatollah Khamenei or Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah on the ticket with him. The Shias in the country would be looking like, wow, we made it. We're on top now. We have a Shia as a vice president. Look, our position is getting bigger. We're getting better. And we would be feeling happiness and hope. When Imam Rida saw this in one of his followers who was present, seeing that he's looking hopeful and happy and excited, after the whole proceedings, Imam Rida pulls him aside and says, don't get your expectations up. And don't become too happy. This thing that they're promising will never happen. So many of his followers, when they heard that he had been made Wali Ahad, and this was the hope of Ma'mun, that they would become hopeful and it would split the movement of revolution against Banu Abbas. And it did do this. It did split up the movement of those who were revolting against the government. So he achieved his initial aim, which was to divide and fracture the enemy and try to make them back off from revolting, because now Imam Rida is part of the government. We shouldn't fight the government. Let's find out what's going on. So many of them did back off. However, the second part of his plan, you see, he was depending on the fact that once Imam Rida accepts the Wali Ahad and starts doing the work of the Wali Ahad, his hands will become dirty and he will become like a zalim, like everyone else. This is why when the Wali Ahad was offered to Imam Rida, he refused to give any orders, to accept any monies, or to involve himself in any way with matters of running the state. Instead, what he did was, I guess the best way I could set it up for you today is, he set himself up as a cultural attaché. That instead of signing documents and putting people in jail or letting people out of jail or passing fatwa or this or that, Imam Rida set himself to intellectual works and dialogue and debate and expounding on Islam. In fact, one of the greatest ahadith that we have that explains imamat comes out of this time period from Imam Rida, that the golden tradition, they call it. That it's a hadith that is relied upon by Ahlul Sunnah even and Shia, that is seen as a faultless argument to uphold the authenticity of the rights of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And Imam Rida sets himself up in that position, so he never gets his hands dirty like Ma'mun wanted him to get his hands dirty. Because Ma'mun wanted him to be like a qazi, a judge, or doing other affairs of state that would involve him in the crimes of the state. But Imam Rida never involved himself in that. And for that reason, his hands stayed clean, and instead of the people turning against him, they turned against Ma'mun. So it was the tactic of Imam Rida that prevented him from this second phase of Ma'mun's plan from taking place. Is it more clear to you now? Well, in either case, Imam Rida understood that his death was imminent anyway. From before he left Medina, he understood that his death was at hand and would be because of these circumstances. And it seems that both Imam Hussein and Imam Rida used the same tactic, that with the time that they have left, in what way can they best achieve their mission? And so Imam Rida goes towards accepting the Wali Ahad, because in his condition, he can do the most amount of good to Islam